Is that my voice? That cannot be my voice. Ugh. How many times have you heard your voice on a recording and said those very words? That cannot be my voice. Well, have you done anything about it? How do you think the sound of your voice is affecting your business? If you go to networking events and conferences like I do, it may be affecting you more than you think. Today, I'm going to help you get on the path to love the sounds coming out of your mouth. But before I do, if this all sounds interesting to you and you think that you might know somebody else that might like it too, please do like, lots of hearts, comment, share, do all of that. Because today I want you to love your voice. And I want you to stick with me until the end, because at the end I'm going to tell you how you can get in free on a new little course that I got coming out later this week. Dun, dun, dun. But before we go any further, you might be wondering who I am. If you've never seen me before, my name is Ella Glasgow, and I am a business voice coach, known as the Voice Success Coach. And I work with businesswomen who don't like the sound of their own voice. And they have let that fear of sounding small or maybe forgetting what it is that they have to say on a stage, a podcast, or a live presentation get in the way of them pursuing bigger opportunities. I help them to instead own the power of their unique voice, know what it is they're talking about, sound like the authority, and look like a rock star on stage while they're doing it, so that every single time they speak, the sound of applause they hear is that of credit cards cha-chinging from an audience that is hungry for more. And today, I want to help you love your voice too. So here's the thing. I know you probably have heard your voice before and maybe it made you cringe. I hope that that's not the case, but if it is the case, that's why you're here listening to me today, because I'm going to help you begin to love the sound of your voice. Let me let you in on a little secret. Those voice recordings are not necessarily the best example of what your voice actually sounds like. Depending on what it is that you're hearing your voice on and the processor that your voice is going through, it may sound a little higher, it may sound a little lower. Somebody just called me while I was trying to talk to you all. Anyway, it may sound distorted. All kinds of craziness could be going on for you to not be able to get really the true sound of your voice. So I'm going to give you a way today to begin to hear what your voice really sounds like to those of us listening to you. And then we'll talk about why this is so important. But first, do this with me. Take your hands and put them over your ears. You may have done this a long time ago when you were a kid, but now it's time to do it again. And as you cup them over your ears, you're going to start saying, "Hi, my name is..." Okay. Now, I know that you hear your voice a little bit now, and it may be making you cringe, but go with me on this, okay? Go with me. I'm going to let you hear your voice even better. So bring your elbows together. If you haven't done yoga in a while, it might be a little bit difficult for you, but that's okay. I haven't done yoga in a while, and it's difficult for me. But we're going to do this. Okay, so make sure that your ears are still cupped and kind of open, and adjust them until you actually hear yourself talking. Say your name again. "Hi, my name is Ella." That sounds good. All right. Maybe you're not feeling like you sound good. Maybe you're cringing. I don't want you to cringe. But the only way to change or fix or make something new is for you to first recognize where your voice actually is and be okay with that. Until we know what's actually going on with your voice, we can't fix it or change it or manipulate it or do anything else to it. So get comfortable. Do it again and say, hi, my name is, what's your name? Okay. All right, cool. That's the way for you to really and truly hear what your voice sounds like to everybody else. Okay? And who knows, maybe it sounded better than you thought. Did you sound good? I sound good. But I've been working on this a long time, and you're going to start working on it too, because the first step to recovery is awareness, right? Awesome. So I want to talk to you about the reason why this is so important. Think about the times that you've been at a networking event and you heard somebody talking about their business. And when they introduced it to you, whether you were sitting at the table next to them or it was one of those big audience style things where everybody goes around the table and says what it is that they're about, who they're looking for, their audience, and all that kind of fun stuff. They may or may not get as detailed. But you can sometimes tell the ones that have been doing it for a really long time, and I don't necessarily mean that in the best way. Maybe they say something like this. My name is Bob, and I'm in real estate. So, I'm looking for people that buy houses. Bob's Real Estate Services. Thanks, guys. Okay, now Bob may be a really cool person, but judging by the way that he speaks, I'm not gaining any confidence as to whether or not he can do what he really hasn't told us that he can do. Because regardless of what it is that he said, what I listened to and what you listen to, whether you realize it or not, is what sounds came out of their mouth. Did they sound like somebody you actually wanted to talk to further and find out more about what it is that they're doing? Or did they sound like someone that was a little unsure, and because they sounded unsure, you weren't sure if you wanted to talk to them, and then you didn't? So think about that for yourself. What colors, what sounds are coming out of your mouth? So I just said something, what colors are coming out of your mouth? You see, I've got this theory that a lot of people are playing with only 3 colors in their crayon box. You can think of your voice as being a crayon box. And the sounds and colors that come out, you can paint any type of picture that you want to paint. But the thing is, if you've only got 3 colors, your pictures are going to start to get a little boring. And that's kind of what we do with our voice. We usually use maybe 1, 2, 3 pitches whenever we are speaking to people, and we think that we are using more pitches and more colors, but we're really not. I want to let you know that there are actually more than 3 colors. You don't have to stick to the Red Robin 3-color package. You can go, my friend, into the 24 Crayola crayon box. Da, 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 and use all of the colors that are available to you there. And those colors are not just pitch, it's dynamic, it's tone, it's loud, it's soft. All of those things together create a painting that make it interesting for us to want to listen to you. So, let me tell you about a friend of mine. Actually, she's a friend and she's a client. When she came to me, she had been using a particular part of her voice for a number of years. She'd probably been speaking the way that she spoke when I first met her for at least 15 years. And the way she spoke is a voice that I bet you've heard before. She kind of sounded something like this. And there's a very famous person who also spoke like this. Her name was Julia Child, and it worked for her. That was her flavor. Those were her colors, and it worked very well for her. But I imagine this young lady who came to me was not really wanting to sound like this. The thing was, was that she was afraid of using the lower part of her voice, and so had defaulted to this makeshift high part of her voice that really kept her sounding small and sounding scared and sounding young and just not making anybody have any confidence in what it was that she had to say when she was presenting things. So I helped her to find the lower part of her voice. And one of the first things that we had to do was get those vocal folds connected. So I'm going to help you do that right now. Are you ready for an exercise? Give me a like. Say yes in the comments if you're ready to go. Are you ready? All right, here we go. This first exercise to help you get connected so that we can use the bottom part of your voice is called the karate chop. Huh. Hi-ya. Okay? So you're going to say, huh, like you're karate chopping a board. Huh. Try that with me. Huh. And if the huh doesn't work for you, then try hi-ya. Hi-ya. Okay? You got that part? Now, from there, you're going to say, huh, and don't allow the chords to come apart. Okay? If you are a light-voiced person and you typically speak here and you feel like there's kind of a bubble kind of going through your throat, maybe it cracks a little bit when you talk, and especially when you go down to what you thought was the lower part of your voice, but it wasn't really getting there, it's because that part of your voice, those muscles that work the top part of your voice, weren't meant to work the bottom part of your voice, and we got to get those bottom voiced muscles working. So try this again with me. Are you ready? Now you may be asking yourself, Ella, I'm not a singer. I'm not trying to sing songs. I want to speak words. But here's the thing. I know you're not trying to be a singer, and I'm not trying to make you into one, although who knows, you may be pitching better and singing songs better at karaoke after working with me, okay? But that's neither here nor there. The reason why I need you to sing a tone right now is so that you can start getting the vocal folds vibrating in the way that we need them to. And the reason why I use pitch with my speakers and use songs and I use different pitches with them is because you need to start getting used to hearing different pitches and getting used to hearing your voice using different pitches so that you can therefore play with all of the colors in the crayon box. Okay? So let's do this one more time. Now from there, we're going to just say our names again. My name is Ella. How did that work for you? Pretty sweet. So what happened to my client? Let me tell you. As of last month, she finally made the decision to speak consistently in the lower part of her voice. Can I tell you the difference? I wish I could play audio for you right now and video because she did make video for me. And maybe I will post that on my page so that you can hear the difference. This is drastic. Her change was drastic because she went from talking like this to talking like this. And it's night and day. And for her, she's told me that she feels so much more confident. It's kind of freaked some people out around her because she's been using this voice for 15 years. And suddenly she's using a voice that sounds more commanding and sounds like an adult. And it makes us stand up and listen to what it is that she has to say. And as she's working through that, she's going to begin to use all of the rest of the other colors that are available to her. Cool? Cool. So let me tell you the other end of the spectrum. Maybe this is you. I had a woman come into my office who was a medical presenter. Her job depended on her giving very accurate information to doctors in hospitals. And she had to present for hours a day. Now, this woman was 4'11", and she was attempting to speak like a 6'1.5" man. 4'11", 6-foot man. Now you can imagine that a 4'11" person, the makeup of their body is going to be a whole lot different than that of a 6-foot man. And you can imagine that at 4'11", the cavities that were available to her to make her voice sound bigger and not be so small are going to be a lot smaller than that of a 6-foot tall man. So we had to understand first where she was and the fact that she was only 4'11". But that didn't mean that we couldn't give her a commanding sound. The problem is that instead of using proper technique, she was trying to dig into the sound to make herself sound bigger, and she would lower her chin and make her voice sound as big as it possibly could at 4'11", and therefore she was squeezing the sound out and losing her voice while she was trying to speak for 5 hours a day with no breaks training. I'm sure you can imagine that ain't gonna work. And you may have had this situation. So what do you do if you want to have a lower voice and you're trying to dig into it to compensate for the fact that you feel like you're small? Well, first, you gotta relax. That is very uncomfortable. And I'm sure if you're doing that, you're feeling very uncomfortable too. It's going to be really impossible for you to get out a larger sound if you are squeezing your neck back and you are hindering the sound from actually coming out of your mouth. So first, what I would ask you to do is relax. And I want you to open up your neck by rolling it around. And after you roll it around and you release some of that tension, I want you to give me a big woo! Hey! Hopefully that wasn't too loud on my microphone. Woo! Hey! Use what I like to call a calling voice. Hey! Hey, you over there! What are you doing? Now, when you are speaking, you're not going to maybe make it that exaggerated, but for this exercise today, let's get our voice working in that direction. Call out to your friend across the room, hey, what are you doing? Okay? Now, there's some other functionality that needs to happen with this, and that is using good breath support, but that's another video for another day. Right now, you can do this. Hey, what are you doing? And get used to the lower part of your voice. Now, what if you're somebody that has a lower voice and you want to use some of the colors in the upper part of your voice, but you've been afraid to go there? I had a woman come into my studio who was afraid to use the upper part of her voice, to the point that when I asked her to go there for the first week or so, she would get right up to it and then inch right back down. Right up to it and inch right back down. But there's nothing wrong with using the upper part of your voice. You may not want to stay there all the time because that might be annoying, but you can use it for effect and for extra color. So, what can we do to get up there? Do this with me. Woo! 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 How did it go? Was it scary? I know it might be scary, but I promise you can do it. Try it again. Woo! Do you feel free up there? You should. Practice with that every day. So what is it that I want you to do? I want you to do a little vocal play. Because like I said, you've got to be aware of your voice and what's available to it. The issue is not that you don't have all of these wonderful colors available, because you do, you just didn't know. The problem is that you've gotten away from vocal play. And It's not your fault. Don't you love hearing that in a video? But honestly, it really is not your fault. So society and mom and dad maybe have changed your voice because the voice that you're using is what you've learned. When you were a child, and I know this now because I have a little one that I study and love very much, and I get to hear him use his voice in such fun ways all day, every day. And for me, it's super cool. But remember when you were a kid, you didn't care about what your voice sounded like, and you would wah, and you would ah, and you would hey, and you would and you would make all kinds of crazy sounds with your voice until your mom or dad said, "Stop being so loud," or "That is so high, that pitch, oh my gosh, you're hurting my ears," or "Don't do that with your voice, you're going to hurt yourself." Does any of that sound familiar? Well, I'm here to tell you it's time for you to back out onto the vocal playground. And here's where I want you to do it. Get in the shower where everybody sounds amazing. Get in the shower in the morning and just start playing. Ooh, ooh, hey, ooh, ooh. Here's the thing. If it doesn't hurt, it's okay. If it hurts, you're doing it wrong and you need to find a new way to do it. Or you can come see me and I can show you how to do it. But when you're playing, just don't hurt yourself, all right? You're not trying to hurt yourself. Woo, woo. If it cracks, if it squeaks, if it croaks, if it squawks, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Let all the sounds come out. Ooh, ooh, ah. Now your husband or your wife might look at you like you're crazy, but you are on a mission to have a voice that's more colorful, that's more grabbing, and that causes people to stand up and say, "I want to talk to you further," or "I want to work with you." That's the goal, after all. And your voice is your calling card. First, people see you, and then they hear you. But what is often the case is that people don't have the opportunity to see you first. If you are making calls, all anyone has to go off of is the sound of your voice. One last story. I had a gentleman call me the other day, and he wasn't calling to work with me. He was actually calling to sell me something. And it was something that I already had. And he was calling to speak with me about renewing that something that I already had earlier than I had planned to do it. Now, when I had told this gentleman, no, I wasn't ready to renew yet, suddenly the tone of his voice changed. Before, he was friendly, he was loving, and he was ready to give me anything. But the minute I said no, bam, there was a complete change. Now, any other person may not have recognized the tone change and may not have, or they would have recognized the tone change, but they may not have been able to articulate why they felt differently on the call and felt a little more defensive from the salesperson that was trying to sell them something. I, being a voice coach, couldn't help it, and I asked him, "Do you mind if I give you a little coaching?" And he said yes. Kind of reluctantly, but he said yes nonetheless. And I let him know that, hey, the color of your voice really is affecting what's going on with your calls. I don't know how many calls you've had today, but the minute that you said no, I heard the color change in your voice, and I heard your disappointment. And of course he said, "Well, I am disappointed. You know, I want to make the sale. I need to do this." And I said, "I get that. But do you understand that the color of your voice, if you had stayed in the color that you started with me, which was friendly, which was open, which was giving, if you had stayed in that color, this no might have turned into a yes." And he said, "Oh, well, okay." And I said, "Well, I encourage you to be mindful of that and mindful of your voice today and for the rest of the week." And he said, "Okay, well, I'll give you a call closer to the time of your renewal." I said, "Cool, that's awesome. Talk to you later." Now, you may be hearing my son making vocal play with his own voice right now. But I surprisingly got a call about a week later from that same gentleman. And he said to me, I wanted to give you a call back because what you said to me was spot on. And what had been going on that day was something really bad had happened in my life, and I let it out on the phone. And I'm really sorry about that. So thank you for bringing it to my attention, because I really needed to change my attitude and I really needed to change my voice. So I wanted to let you know that I'm going to extend. Now, I was really, really happy that he called me back, because not everybody calls me back to let me know what free advice I've given them has worked for them. But I'm so glad to know that that was useful for him. And I hope that this has been useful for you today. So remember, I told you before we started that I was going to give you the opportunity to take part in a free course that's coming out from me later this week. All you have to do is type in the comments, "Free my voice." What did I say? Type in the comments, "Free my voice." And I'll be sure to get you that free course that's coming out later this week. Again, type in the comments, "Free my voice." Okay? I hope that you have had fun with me today, and I hope that these tools were helpful for you. Remember, the most important of all is vocal play. It's something that you did when you were a kid, and it was something that you absolutely loved, and you can do it again. Go get out on that vocal playground and play. My name is Ella Glasgow, and I am the Voice Success Coach. And I am helping you put a little show into your business so that the sound of applause that you hear is that of credit cards cha-chinging from an audience that is hungry for more. And you know how I do. I got stuff to do, and you got stuff to do. So go give your dreams a kick in the pants. I'll see you next time.